Why do influencers sound like this?
Motherfucker, I'm happy as fuck.
Hello, Internet. Welcome to Game Theory.
Get out of the car. Y'all dare me? Y'all dare me? Ah!
Oh my god, no.
Hi, I'm Marcus. I'm a professional speaker and author specializing in social anxiety and public speaking. And I've noticed something strange about the way influencers talk. Their cadence and tone is strange. You wouldn't talk like this in a normal conversation. There are pauses where you wouldn't expect. There are words that are emphasized that don't really make sense, and there seems to be an inflection at the end of every sentence. And for some reason, there's a lot of screaming. So why have influencers adopted this strange way of speaking? Let's dive in and find out. This phenomenon is nothing new. Influencers, also known as celebrities, have been adopting strange speech patterns since the beginning of entertainment itself. If we look at Shakespeare, for example, his plays were written and hypothesized to be performed in a very specific accent, also known as the Shakespearean accent.
And this is as close as we can get to what Shakespeare's accent would have sounded like, and the accent of his actors. Two households, both alike in dignity, in fair Verona where we lay our sin. From ancient grudge break to new mutiny, where civil blood lays civil lands unclean. From forth the fatal lines of theirs two foes, a pair of star-crossed lovers take the life.
It sounds a bit strange, right? Like an amalgamation of many different accents, but not spoken in a way that a normal person would. It's often compared to the movie pirate accent, widely adopted by many on-screen pirates to this day, though no actual pirates spoke like this.
Heavy.
So why would Shakespeare craft his plays to sound like this? If you listen to the clip again, you notice that it begins to draw you in. The novelty is intriguing, and the methodical delivery is intended to separate his fantasy world on stage from the viewer's mundane life, which is a powerful tool when crafting an immersive experience. You can also see this phenomenon during the rise of the motion picture in the early 20th century. After the release of the first feature film to have synchronized audio, actors once again needed to distinguish themselves from the mass population, and they turned to another distinct speech pattern, the transatlantic accent.
You have any idea what you'd have to look forward to if you stayed here? 9 chances out of 10 we'd both wind up at a concentration camp. Isn't that true, Louis?
I'm afraid Major Strasser would insist.
We have all heard this accent before, as it proliferated cinemas from the early 1930s all the way to the 1950s, causing many to misattribute it as a genuine accent. But, minus a few outliers, this accent was nothing more than movie magic. If we look at bloopers from that era, we see that the accent is dropped as soon as the scene falls apart.
Oh, yes, my darling. 1,000 times yes, and if he doesn't cut, I don't know what in the hell I'm gonna do.
The accent is a blend of American and British English, and is characterized by its lack of any regional or ethnic markers. It has a slightly higher pitch and is more formal in tone than the standard American English, and it incorporates some elements of both British pronunciation and intonation. The transatlantic accent was popularized as a way of creating a neutral accent that would be easily understood by audiences on both sides of the Atlantic. It was commonly used in film, television, and radio as a common denominator for both audiences. Many attribute the popularity of the transatlantic accent to Edith Skinner's book, Speak with Distinction, which more or less sought to distinguish the upper class from the lower class. This very distinction was probably the main allure for celebrities who wanted to sound well-educated and differentiate themselves from the common cinema goer.
He's looking at you, kid.
This unique tone only further drew you into the film and cemented the actors as sophisticated artists. Today, the transatlantic accent has fallen out of favor, but still holds its place in history as a distinct way of speaking. So why did the transatlantic accent fall out of favor? Well, just like the Shakespearean accent that came before it, eventually it became oversaturated and it's lost its novelty. So actors had to move on to more creative ways to gain their audience's attention. This brings us to modern day stars, no longer on the big screen, but now in the palm of your hand. And just like all celebrities before them, they needed to find a way to distinguish themselves from everyone else. But this time, it'd be a lot more difficult, because not only did they have to distinguish themselves from their audience, they also needed to differentiate themselves from the thousands of other influencers competing for their attention. This immense competition pushed influencers to adopt their own unique speaking styles, ever evolving to stay competitive. Influencers are often seeking to appeal to a broad audience, which means that they may adopt a similar tone or style to that which is popular or trendy. This can result in similar content and messaging across different influencers. This is why so many influencers in a specific genre begin to sound the same. As one influencer would rise, others would begin to copy their style in an effort to ride algorithmic success. Platforms like Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok use algorithms to surface content that is likely to be popular with its users, which can encourage influencers to create content that fits within certain parameters or trends. For example, the children's challenge genre, where grown adults compete in absurd competitions for vast sums of money.
Behind me is an assassin! And if he stabs me with this rubber knife by the end of the day, he wins 100 grand.
I'm eating like Nikocado avocado for the next 24 hours.
Free DIY rafts! Oh no!
These influencers have adopted a loud and abrasive persona to gain the attention of their younger viewers. You can clearly see influence from the likes of Jim Carrey or Chris Farley.
No roughhousing in the spa. Settle down, please.
Now you kids are probably saying to yourselves, hey, I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna get the world by the tail.
This over-the-top energy is great at keeping even the shortest attention span of their audience. But what about older audiences? Well, let's take a look at the YouTube commentary community.
Be losing my absolute marbles over some ones and some zeros.
And the same year that The Pacifier, starring Vin Diesel, came out. Coincidence? I think not.
I got a question for you. Have you ever watched the movie Saw and thought to yourself, this is great, but where's Jesus?
These influencers have adopted a more relaxed style in an effort to appeal to their older audience's taste. It is still slightly exaggerated and not really the tone you'd use in a normal conversation, but is much closer than our previous example. Much like the comedian John Mulaney, these influencers use more subtle pauses and emphasis to gain the viewer's attention.
Strange, the passage of time. I'm not that old. I'm 35. That is not old. But I am in a new phase right before old called gross.
These trends create tight-knit communities among influencers with their own distinct culture, which may contribute to the similarities between the influencers. Influencers often collaborate with each other, attending the same events and participating in the same campaigns, which can lead to a homogenization of content. Before you know it, you have thousands of influencers who sound very similar. Success breeds imitation, the imitator's success breeds more copycats until eventually you have an oversaturated market, until someone comes along with their own new unique voice to define a new genre. If you've been on YouTube as long as I have, you've seen this play out countless times. The era of sketch comedy like Shane Dawson, Fred, or Smosh. The dark days of prank wars like FouseyTube, Joey Salich, and Shane Dawson. Or the YouTube conspiracy videos such as Nexpo or Shane Dawson, each of which had their moment of fame before too many ripoffs crashed the market. I know we're poking a little fun at Shane Dawson, but this is a perfect example of how even the biggest creators on a platform continually re-evolve their speaking style to stay competitive in an ever-changing market. So as a new or old influencer defines their own unique style, you can be sure that many others will begin to follow. All speech is influenced by the world around us, everyone shouting to define their own unique voice. And those that can separate themselves from the deafening void that we call the internet can define how influencers speak for years to come. So, Why do influencers sound like this?
Hey, Vsauce, Michael here.
The device is floating!
Wow, good joke, man.
It's a combination of factors, including marketability, influencer culture, and algorithmic influence. These factors contribute to similarities in content and speaking style among a wide variety of influencers. Just like the actors of old, today's influencers will continue to redefine their speaking style to gain the ever-changing attention of modern audiences. If you want to learn how to become a better speaker, check out my new book, Don't Shut Up, available now on Amazon, Audible, and iTunes. If you liked today's video, hit that like button, and of course, hit that subscribe button if you want to see more content just like this. And thank you so much for watching.